Welcome back to The Real Hustle. I'm Doug, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are tackling a really big question for any entrepreneur, and that's how do you build a business that actually lasts? Something that's not just a flash in the pan. I'm not talking about a side hustle. We're talking about a real legacy, a real business that lasts decades. I see so many people investing so much time and energy into this and that, and they jump all over the place. And it seems like it just disappears in a couple of years. And we all know people like that. They're just hopping around from thing to thing. Well, tonight we're going to look at longevity and legacy, and to help me break that down and how it can be done and answer some real questions about all that, especially in the medical field, is a phenomenal guest I have with me, Dr. Mike Ewald. Mike, thanks for coming on. The Real Hustle, smart strategies for income, life, and business.
Thank you, Doug. Really appreciate this opportunity. Always been a huge fan of you and your wonderful wife, Sharon. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, that is humbling because Dr. Mike is a legendary man in the Juice Plus business. And I think you're going to love hearing some of the things, especially about the medical profession and how that relates to not only the Juice Plus business, but maybe how it relates to supplements and products and network marketing and things like that and how they crisscross. So he's been able to build a successful business in Juice Plus for over 25 years. He's a doctor of chiropractic, and he's going to tell us about his journey. I'm going to ask some great questions, and we're going to figure some things out. So, Dr. Mike, and I'll just get it out of the way now because I'll end up just calling you Mike because we're friends.
That's fine. That's fine.
So no offense, but the rest of you, if you don't know him, you got to call him Dr. Ewald from now on.
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, but we call this The Real Hustle, this podcast, because there's a reason. So let's kick it off with the elephant in the room. As a doctor, how did you get started with Juice Plus? How did you reconcile aligning with a business model, network marketing, that often has a lot of skepticism around it?
Sure. That's a great question. And I, not only a doctor, but a chiropractor. So back in 1983, kind of aged myself here. Chiropractic was really looked down upon. I mean, 100 years ago, it was really, people were being put in jail, and things got better. But even in 83, people were very skeptical and very, not sure about these chiropractors. And I had built my wife and I, Karen, we built a great practice. I was a team chiropractor for a number of professional sports teams and spent a lot of time doing that. It was a family practice with a focus on nutrition, not really vitamins, but just trying to get, my patients to clean up their diet and just make some basic changes. But anyhow, we had built a great practice, and I didn't want to jeopardize that in any way. And I didn't want people to think I was pushing anything on them and basically the Juice Plus salesperson. So I was very cognizant of that. And we actually had a bad experience in chiropractic college with another kind of what I thought this was, network marketing thing. And so when I was introduced to Juice Plus at that time, and long before Juice Plus, we understood the power of whole food nutrition, real food. And at the time, we were big juicers. And when someone introduced me to Juice Plus, I love the concept of real food in a capsule form. Of course, now we have a superfood. It's our core blend is in a sleeve. I told him, I said, I like, fruits and veggies in a capsule. That sounds too good to be true. I'll try your product, but I don't want anything to do with your stupid business. And that's where I was at, very skeptical. And I let him know up front that I didn't want anything to do with whatever you were pushing on the business side of things. So that was my initial reaction. And many people, especially health professionals, very skeptical. Probably a week doesn't go by where they're, shown the latest, greatest, whatever by, whomever. But I did like the concept, and I was smart enough that if I was going to take Juice Plus, my whole family's going to take it along with me. So we registered with the company and added it to our diet. And I can't tell you I had any miraculous changes. Again, we were already eating really well, especially my wife, Karen. I learned a lot about nutrition and wellness and health in chiropractic college, but it was my wife, Karen, that really got me eating better. She leans toward the vegan side. I'm not pushing vegetarian tonight, but I was going to do whatever she was into. So we were juicing and eating well. And so consequently, I didn't notice dramatic changes. I did notice, however, like my hair and my fingernails seemed healthier. But what really impressed me was after about 2 months of eating Juice Plus, my oldest son, he was just kind of getting into adolescence and getting some acne. And it was very frustrating because I thought we were doing all the right stuff. But after a couple months of eating Juice Plus, his face cleared up. And of course, I would never say Juice Plus cures acne or anything. What we know to be true is, the body really is the cure. Your body is the cure. We just need to give it the right fuel, the right food, and, remove any kind of interference that might be happening. And things should work really well. And of course, the standard American diet is pathetic. I think 70% of the food that we consume right now is ultra processed food, which it's
Hmm.
not food, it's poison. So, understanding that and just trying to get people to eat more fruits and vegetables, it's almost impossible, right? So Juice Plus is kind of a simple first step. And after seeing Carl, my son's response, I thought, I got to look at this more seriously. So I actually looked into the company and we went to a conference back in 1979, really to get away from Dayton, Ohio in March. But we went to San Diego, kind of skeptical, but open. And what I
Wait a
saw,
second, not that wasn't 79, more
or
maybe
97,
9
97.
97, I was gonna say.
Okay, 79 is when I graduated from high school. Sorry, folks.
Okay,
Or that's
you're
when
not that old.
that's when my twin brother graduated from high school.
Okay.
And I'm 4 minutes older, so you can kind of do the math. But in 1997 we went to San Diego, and to say that that event has forever changed our life, it was amazing. It wasn't a lot of hype. It was just good people surrounded by a great product. And at that time, Doug, they had 3 studies behind Juice Plus, which at that time I was blown away. I'm like, wow, there's really not much. And even today, there's really not many companies that have gold standard research, validating what we can share about our products.
So when you went to that first conference in San Diego, that was 97, was that you were just primarily you were using it personally with your family? It wasn't like a major part of your practice or anything at that point?
Correct.
Okay. So you were
Did
just checking it out.
And that was maybe a 4 month duration after Carl's experience. So I did start to share it with a few selective patients, in the practice. And I did see some positive changes in their life. And again, Juice Plus cures nothing, but we know that good nutrition helps everything. So I was seeing some amazing changes in people's life just by adding Juice Plus into their diet. So I did go into that conference with some belief, and I knew that this was pretty special. But it was a conference that really got me stoked, and I learned about the research there, and that's really what sets Juice Plus apart. And we could talk for a week on the research. I love the research. Of course, now they've got close to 50 published studies, all of it gold standard, meaning double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized crossover studies. Good research published in excellent peer-reviewed journals. If you're not familiar with the research behind Juice Plus, folks, that's what changed the game for me. But also at that conference, Doug, I went into that conference burnout. I was overwhelmed. I was treating a professional hockey team, a professional soccer team, and a professional semi-pro baseball team, the Dayton Dragons. They're a farm team for the Cincinnati Reds. So I was working my 50 plus hours in the office, and then I'm going to games. Whenever the baseball team, whenever they return from an away trip, they wanted treated. The hockey team, I had to be there every game, and I'd go down between periods. And it wasn't a life. I was on that treadmill that had no on off switch. So we went into that conference, pretty fried. And what I got excited about was the benefit package. Juice Plus is a network marketing company, but it really has pulled some of the wonderful benefits from corporate America, and the fact that they've got a benefit package. And being self-employed at that time, I couldn't afford a family health insurance policy. We had a catastrophic plan, but I thought, boy, if we could generate that full medical, dental, disability, they've got some life insurance. I thought that would be a game changer. And Karen, my wife, what she saw was, if we could generate a little bit of extra money, maybe Mike could take an afternoon off. That was our big why at that time. We could maybe
That is really wild I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
I just gotta say, um, it's wild because as a non-medical professional, we go to the doctor, we go to the chiropractor, we go in for visits, but you don't always think of, it's kind of like when you're a kid in school and then you like see your teacher in the grocery store and you're like, oh my gosh, there's Mr. Ewald. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't realize or you don't think about it that your doctor has like a real life. They have a family. They have budget. They have bills. They're worried about healthcare too, and what their income is and opportunities. I mean, so it's not. I mean, there might be like there's obviously professional ethics, but you don't take an oath to poverty, which can be a tough business. I mean, if you call it a business, I mean, I know a lot of chiropractors. They really do work a lot. I mean, when you're seeing 300 patients a week, and it's hard on your body, I would imagine too.
It's physically demanding. And I came out of school with great skills, how to be a chiropractor. And for those of you that don't know, chiropractors, we carry the same license as a family practice medical doctor. We don't prescribe medicine. We treat with alternative natural food and diet and really with our hands.
Mm,
And, but I didn't learn anything about the business side of running a practice.
yeah,
Doctors, nurses, hospitals, it's a business. Yes, they're helping people, but the reality is it's a business. And actually now it's the biggest business in the world, healthcare and
yeah,
actually sick care. But as a chiropractor, I was clueless and I had to go to some business management courses and learn the ins and outs of how to run a practice. And much like our Juice Plus business, I had to learn systems. So we had to train our people with the proper verbiage and all of that. And it was tough. It was tough. But the hours, I always tell people I'm a lot better grandpa because of Juice Plus than I was a dad, because it was overwhelmed for me and I just wasn't as available to my three kids. I've got three kids and now six grandchildren, but I was really struggling with that life balance.
yeah.
But we got excited at that first conference and basically came home pretty excited to share what we had learned about Juice Plus for sure.
So you initially I mean, this is pretty common. I mean, as we're both Juice Plus partners, you share with other chiropractors. I share with, I mean, I have chiropractors and medical doctors on our team, acupuncturists, massage therapists, physical therapists, you name it. But there is always, and there's, I think, even more skepticism from medical professionals sometimes, not because of the product, but because of the business model, of network marketing, which I find interesting because, it's almost like what I hear is like they feel concerned that they're going to be sharing a product and making money from it, and they don't feel good about that. But at the same time, when I go to my chiropractor's office, who's not sharing Juice Plus, but there's bottles of pills, I mean, or capsules or whatever, there's supplements they're selling there. At the dermatologist, when I get my yearly checkup, they have all kinds of things you can buy for your face.
Hmm.
Medical doctors, I mean, almost every time I'm waiting in a waiting room, you see those pharmaceutical reps come in with their little bringing in lunch for the whole staff. I mean, what is the point of that? Like you said, it's the biggest business in the world, and the deal is, the pharma rep meets with the doctor and says, hey, why don't you, I notice you're prescribing blah, blah, blah. Like maybe if you prescribe a little bit more of this, it'd be good for your patients. I mean, so it's just, I mean, I don't know how those conversations go. Actually, I want to have that interview with somebody. I'd love to know the behind the scenes, but it seems like whether they realize it or not, a lot of these medical professionals are, in fact, making money off of either recommending products to people. It's just sometimes there's different business models. Maybe they buy the supplements and put them on their shelf and then sell them for money, or maybe it's, free lunches from the farmer rep or incentives from the pharmaceutical company. I have a buddy who's a doctor, and I remember him going on trips to speak at conferences about, put on by a certain pharma company. And so I don't know, it just seems strange to me that there's all of a sudden with network marketing, they they're more critical of that. So I'm wondering, how did you approach that, or what advice would you even have for medical professionals who do have concerns about, this business model or the ethics of it?
Sure. And again, I did struggle with that personally. And I do agree with you, Doug. Medical doctors that are prescribing medicines, they're not getting a direct reimbursement from from those medications. However, oncologists, they actually generate income by recommending chemotherapy, which is interesting. But they are making money in the fact that they're doing lab work. They're basically getting paid on their times. So they are selling something. They're selling you hopefully, better health through prescriptions and some of the modalities they're
They're also selling, I mean, and yeah, it's for our own good, but when your dentist is sending you reminders that it's time for a cleaning, when your doctor says, "Hey, it's time for come in, let's check on this," or "Hey, go ahead and do that blood work and I want to see you again in a couple weeks." And I'm like, "Do I really need to come into the office? Can't you just email me the results and then we'll decide whether I should come in the office?" But every time you go in the office, they're hitting that insurance company,
yeah.
and I had and it's just crazy, some of the stuff that is charged. I had like an infection. We won't get into details, but it was kind of gross. It was right here. I ended up going to the hospital because it was bad. I was in there for one night and the bill was like $39,000
Yeah.
because of the whatever they were putting the drip that was going into me to take care of this infection was $29,000 for the prescription. And so, I mean, it's a business, not that it's bad. I mean, it's amazing what medicine can do nowadays and what doctors can do. Yeah. So what changed it for you where you got comfortable?
Well, as a chiropractor, I'm probably a little more entrepreneurial. Most of us are. Most chiropractors are basically self-employed, unlike,
Mhm.
say, a medical doctor that works for a large health organization. They pretty much are sent to patients. You don't have to do any really promoting of yourself. Obviously, you want to offer your patients the best care, but the entrepreneurial aspect probably isn't as prevalent in medicine as it is in chiropractic because basically as a chiropractor I was selling myself. First and foremost, people want to know if this guy's going to help me, and then secondary thing is how much is it going to cost me. So my goal was to make things affordable and try to give the best service possible. And as my belief in Juice Plus grew, it became a point of ethics and really unethical not to share Juice
Yeah.
Plus what I know. And I make a little. It's I don't make a lot of money on recommending Juice Plus. We don't make as partners. We don't generate a fortune off of selling Juice Plus. So I feel good about that. And again, I want to keep it simple. I want to give them the best tools that I've been able to determine in my toolbox. And Juice Plus, as far as my nutritional cornerstone,
Mhm.
nutritional component, it's always what I lead with. And I've recommended things around that, but Juice Plus is what I recommend as far as a nutritional foundation for everybody.
Yeah.
Because again, we're just not eating enough plants in our diet. So it became a matter of ethics and integrity for me. And it's very affordable when you look at the quality and the variety of the produce. And then again, the research. The research is really that gives me, as a health professional, the confidence and the credibility to share it with others. There's no contraindications. Juice Plus is unique. It carries a food label, just like kale or broccoli. It's non-GMO, non-dairy, gluten-free, kosher certified. It carries an NSF certification, which basically tells you what is in that product, and it tests for hundreds of things that we know are bad for you. But it really is healthy fast food. It really became just a point of integrity, and I want to offer my patients the very best. And Juice Plus has been that for the last 28 years, for sure.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this part of the interview. We're going to stop right there in this episode and we'll pick it back up with Dr. Mike. Thanks for listening. The Real Hustle: Smart Strategies for Income, Life, and Business.